America, bonjour, hi Canada. I'm Hugh Hewitt, live on this Monday morning, joined by an old friend, Jeff Crank. Jeff is with Americans for Prosperity. He lives in Colorado. I've known him probably 17 years. He's the host of the Americans for Prosperity American Potential podcast. Hello, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning, Hugh. How are you today?
Good. It's been a long time since I saw you. Last time I think I saw you in person, your then 3-year-old was wearing a princess dress. I assume she's no longer wearing the princess dress.
You are so kind to mention that. That's a great story. Yeah, she is no longer wearing the princess dress. She's now 21 years old.
Yeah. Time flies. Jeff, tell us about American Potential. Americans for Prosperity is a great sponsor of my show. They believe in free markets and free answers to solutions. But what does the podcast do?
You know, we want to use the podcast to tell the story of average, everyday Americans who are making a difference and who are breaking government-imposed barriers. And whether those barriers are, a gigantic barrier like inflation, or whether it's just a small barrier to some people, but might be a gigantic barrier like, certificate of need in healthcare. We've done a lot of shows about ESAs, education savings accounts, and how they have literally changed lives of children all across America. And we've done 130 episodes. We do 3 episodes per week. And it's just amazing the stories that are out there. And it's just been a fascinating experience to see it. And we've had a heck of a time telling some of these stories, Hugh.
Now, Jeff, you're a broadcast professional, so you know how to run a podcast. How long do you aim for? A lot of people have to find a podcast and try it out. I think if they try out American Potential, they'll love it. But how long does it go?
Well, between 30 and 45 minutes. We try and starting to try to hit that more 45-minute mark. But we've been doing at least 30 minutes, and we've found that 40 to 45 minutes is kind of the sweet spot.
All right. I agree with that, by the way. I think it's workout time. People want enough that they can get a workout in, but they don't want under 30 minutes, 30 to 45. Sometimes they'll go long. Now, Jeff, AFP, it's been around for a long time. It's gone through a lot of iterations. How do you describe it to your friends, what you do?
Well, I really use the term breaking government-imposed barriers. I mean, I think people forget how many barriers government throws in front of us on a daily basis. And I think it's AFP's job to help engage citizens to use the grassroots, right? Really to transform their own lives. And we have countless stories that we've told on the podcast of, average citizens who just said, this isn't right. And they needed somewhere to take that energy and channel it. And AFP has always been that place for them to go and help make a big change in law somewhere.
Now, I've also always believed that AFP is a good home for people who are not comfortable with partisan politics. I did an event on Saturday morning for my friend Ken Williams in Orange County, Jeff, and there were 150 volunteers, and they were going to go walk precincts for school board races, a couple of Congress people, but it was a Republican event on behalf of Republicans, even though it's a nonpartisan school board race. And some people are comfortable. Other people don't want to do partisan politics, but they want to be community activists. I try and get them to go to americansforprosperity.org. Would you explain what the overall vision of the organization is?
Yeah, it really is to unite America and do powerful things for good. Often, and Hugh, you mentioned meeting me 17 years ago. I was a candidate for Congress when we met, and when you were so kind to endorse me and help me in that race. And I look back on that, and I was an imperfect candidate. Candidates are often imperfect. Well, they're all imperfect. There's only one person I know who wasn't, and he's not running for office. So, I think to get involved in issues so many times is such a good way for people to do it. Issues don't let you down if you follow principle, and I think that's what's so great about Americans for Prosperity. We really do focus on principle, and we'll work with anyone to do good, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican.
Now, you live in Colorado. Colorado, when I first went in 2000, was a red state. Bill Owens was the governor. He named me the warden of the Collegiate Peaks. I would go over every few months, and Colorado went purple, and now it's blue. How do you feel about your state?
Well, I live in Colorado Springs, Hugh, and as you know, that's kind of one of the heavy that's still a little bit red in Colorado Springs. Yeah, it's been very frustrating, and I think both the Republican Party here in Colorado has caused some of that by being dysfunctional and fighting amongst itself. But certainly the left has made a lot of inroads, and a lot of people who are leaving the state of California, of course, coming to beautiful Colorado, and I don't blame them. I just wish they'd leave some of their bad ideas at home when they come, of course. But it is a very frustrating thing, and it's why we need groups like Americans for Prosperity even more, so that we can band together and help fight, particularly when we have political parties sometimes that are in disarray.
Well, I always ask people on the local level, have you got local leaders who are showing up and leading efforts of renewal at school boards and city councils and county boards of supervisors? What is it in the Springs area? Is it an upswing or is it a downswing?
I'll tell you what, on school boards, it was amazing. In school boards, we had folks that really cared about parental involvement, parental rights, education savings accounts, those sorts of things. They made great inroads this last cycle because people got engaged. And I find in those races, the biggest problem is people don't know who those candidates are. So it's important for us to really get out there and make sure. And so whether it's through groups like Americans for Prosperity or just getting involved locally, that's so important. And I do see an upswing in that. And I will tell you, all the major school districts in Colorado Springs saw a major uptick in the number of really good pro-school choice, pro-educational freedom candidates get elected.
My old friend Eric Hogue got selected to be the new president of Colorado Christian College, and I thought that was a green shoot. I love everyone at CCU. That's got to thrive. But I also worry that Boulder, and I know you're RAM, and California State University, I'm afraid they're lost in the way that the Ivy Leagues are lost. Am I right about that?
They are. My son just graduated from the law school at Colorado University, and I think that they had Stacey Abrams as the keynote speaker at his commencement. Needless to say, he didn't care to go to that.
What's he going to do for a living? Is he going to stay and practice law in the Centennial State?
He already is. He found a great job with a company. He's a corporate attorney in the Denver area and doing great. Loves it.
Well, is it still a place that young people want to move? When I first went to Colorado in 2000, it's been 24 years since I went to Colorado for the first time as a radio talk show host. It was a land of vast opportunity, cheap houses, lots of buildings, lots of growth. What is it now?
Well, it's certainly not cheap houses, but it is a land of growth. I mean, Colorado, all of Colorado, whether it's Denver, Colorado Springs, the whole Front Range certainly has really grown tremendously. And, housing prices are skyrocketing. If you get into some of the mountain towns, it's really bad. But yes, it is a place that I think there's just so much to do in Colorado outdoors from the outdoor standpoints, where you're a hunter like I am, or whether you like to hike and go fishing and camping and those sorts of things. Colorado still is a wonderful place.
All right, now let's go back to American Potential. When do you record it? When does it populate? And where can people find it?
Well, sure. First of all, you can find it at AmericanPotential.com or any place that you get your podcasts. And we're all over the place for sure. We also have a YouTube channel, and we do fully audio, video podcast episodes. I record at least 3 episodes a week. I'm going to record 3 today, and they're released fairly quickly. Sometimes we have guests that are newsmakers, or we call them policy champions, whether it's a United States senator or a congressman, governor. We have those folks all the time, but we also have average everyday citizens on. So we like to be as timely as we can and release as quickly as we can.
And last question, Jeff. How is the demand for it on terms of growing? Do you think that podcasting is going to replace broadcasting as people find things like American Potential and decide they want to hear that first in the morning?
Yeah, it's been remarkable, Hugh. I spent some time in the radio business, of course, but it has been amazing to watch it grow. I mean, we started this podcast February 1st of 2023, so been going, literally 11 months. And in that time, We've gotten on video downloads, video views, downloads, and audio downloads. We're at about 12 million people who have listened to the podcast over those 11 months.
It's, broadcast is changing so fast. I mean, just so fast. Jeff Crank, good to see you again, my friend. The podcast is American Potential. Go to AmericanPotential.com. Comes from our friends and sponsors at Americans for Prosperity. I hope they didn't lose the tiara when you put away the princess dress, but it's good to see you again, Jeff. Don't go anywhere, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt.